Hello, and thank you for being here today. This is Aman, and I'm in the Garden of Sacred Tears Center in Glendalough today. I'm having, as usual, my cup of tea, but with a bit of a change on the side that I've got myself a nice piece of chocolate that I'll be enjoying today as well. If you have a moment to take a piece of chocolate or something that you like, or make yourself a cup of tea, it would be nice to pause this conversation, and I'll wait for you here. So whenever you're ready with your cup of tea or your chocolate or anything that makes you a little bit more comfortable and more calm, you can resume the audio again. Today I want to talk to you about meditation, and this is my understanding of meditation, which I've learned over the last few years, especially over the last few months, is very different from what most people seem to approach meditation as. Let me first talk about the meditation that I used to understand it, because that's the way I see it perpetuating in the various classes that are being offered, in the various sessions and trainings and workshop in meditation, advocating that this is something for self transformation, self-growth, self-confidence, and it might be all of that as well. And I certainly sometimes use those terms to invite people to my meditation sessions. However, I consider that more as an experience in mindfulness. Meditation is something quite different for me, and I wanted to share that with you today. So meditation is something that I believed I used to practice ever since I was a little boy. I've put pictures on the website of me meditating under a tree, seeking enlightenment, probably from when I was 7 or 8. It's been something that I've practiced for a very, very long time. However, since the last couple of years, I do not consider those actions as meditation. I consider those attempts and those actions and those doings as searching. But meditation is something different. Meditation, in my opinion, from my experience, from what I have experienced, is not something that you can do. It's not a doing that is in your control. That's something that you are able to consciously act upon. Meditation is something that happens. And yes, we can do a lot of things, especially in mindfulness, that can guide us to meditation, but meditation in itself is something that happens. In Japanese Zen Buddhism, just to consider one example, there is this idea of satori, which is a sudden awakening, a sudden realization of one's own nature, one's own true nature. A similar concept is there in Hinduism as well. It is Aham Brahmasmi, which is I am that. I am, that's again a realization of a clear vision of who you are, and a deep awakening into that vision, into that realization, into that understanding. Considering these two concepts of Satori and Aham Brahmasmi, let me try and explain my understanding of meditation. It's a bit like being in love again. You've heard me say this before. But when you're in love, you're not doing love, you're experiencing love. It is a presence. Similarly, let's take the example of dreaming. When you are dreaming, when you're in deep sleep and you're dreaming, the dream is happening and you're experiencing the dream. And then when you wake up, you don't try and wake up. You don't then do some kind of action in waking up. Awareness and waking happens to you. It's like when you jump into a river, or you're going with the flow of the river. You're being carried by the river. You're not carrying yourself across the river. If you understand what I mean, it's an involuntary experience. It is a presence. It's a flow that once you enter into that stream, it happens. Now, let's take the example of breathing, because breathing was one of those exercises that yoga, meditation, mindfulness often focus on, because breathing is something that's happening on its own. In this conversation that I've been having with you, in the listening that you've very kindly given to me today, you've been breathing all along. Now, we can become consciously aware of our breathing, and there are a lot of exercises designed to kind of make you aware of the breathing in and the breathing out. But when the attention is called to that experience, that attention, that's the moonlight, the ability to move your attention with intention. This is something I'm paraphrasing Dr. Dan Siegel here, but to move your attention with intention is a very important part of that journey to meditation. Noticing that the breath goes in, noticing that the breath goes out, but noticing, not trying to force it, not trying to attain some kind of a control over it. That's not the idea here. The idea is to realize that you are being carried by something which is possibly quite bigger than your current understanding. It's about not being caught up in identities that we've held on for a very long time, things that we believe that we are, but perhaps we are more than that. Perhaps we're something bigger, something part of something bigger. Even if you look at the body, if I look at my body here right now, it can feel like this is my body. However, every single part of it has been made from elements that came from outside. I wasn't, the old conception of being born into this world as if we came from somewhere outside and we were born in this world. If we let go of that kind of notion, those kind of notions, and realize that we are actually born out of this world, like a plant that blossoms, that blooms, that sprouts, we too have come from this earth, from this planet, from this universe, that we've come from this, not come into it from any place outside. And then when we realize that we are part of something much bigger, that even sustaining myself here today, there's nothing that I can do really. There are so many involuntary actions that are happening, my breathing, my digestion, the food that I'm consuming, all the senses that are coming to me, that is giving me this experience, even this conversation, the sounds that you hear and the sense that it's happening on its own. You're not trying to understand the words, you're not trying to understand the experience, it's just a flow that you're participating in. And for meditation, certainly there are things that we perhaps need to undertake to prepare ourselves for the experience. Now, it can happen quite suddenly. I'm not saying there's only one way, but oftentimes there's this idea that there's something that I have to do, and I want to move away from that. So when I said that there's some things that we can do, it simply means we can prepare ourselves by letting go of the desire to constantly do something. And that might sound a bit silly, but a lot of meditation is very silly. There's so much joy. The experience doesn't always make sense. It can feel a little crazy, a little maddening, a little sense of bliss when you realize that you are that. What you've been looking for outside is actually the presence that you very well are. And that awakening, that satori, that aham brahmasmi, that awakening, that realization, that clarity is full of joy. Joy not in a sense of, again, not an emotion, but a presence of being in love. It itself, the awakening itself, is meditation. When you're flowing in the river, you are the river. When you're floating without resisting, when you relax, when you let go, that experience is quite beautiful. It's also interesting because when we are rigid and we are inflexible, that's when we are kind of most likely to hurt ourselves. In the case of our experiences, that's what limits us. An idea of what we are and what we have to be and what we have to do, including when talking about meditation and mindfulness, that there's a certain way to do it. Those actually take us away from the experience, as there is no right way to love or to experience love. That is very different. Or there is no right way to feel compassion. Similarly, there is no right way for one plant to grow or another. They can grow in very different ways, take different shapes and sizes and colors, but they're all part of that essence of life and blooming and blossom. So, meditation is a presence and a realization, and it happens to you. Being in the presence of somebody who is awake can also be a very beautiful signposting to that experience. However, without the actual awakening in yourself, everything is theoretical, everything is just another concept. I gave this example in my last podcast. I think that the academic understanding, the theoretical, the intellectual understanding of the seawater being salty is actually not going to make any difference in your life. However, actually tasting the seawater makes you realize what that concept is all about. Same with meditation. We can do a lot of things that gently move our attention to meditation so that we finally see it with clarity, with awakening, with understanding. But then the experience takes over. Then you're no longer meditating. Then you are meditation. I've started meditation, group meditation here in Lara in Glendalough, and I invite people to join me here. But again, it's very important to understand that this is more about mindfulness, and it's more about the path to meditation, that we bring ourselves in a place where we can pay attention to what is meditation, and then once we've seen it, which can be an instant or a slow process, there's no one way. Once we've seen it, then meditation happens. Once you've seen the moon, you know what it is, and there's no more getting caught up in reflections of the moon, as the beautiful Zen story about a bucket of water containing the image of a moon is not the same as actually looking up into the sky and seeing the moon for itself. We can look at the reflection all our lives and feel that the moon is contained within a bucket of water, a pail of water. And we can be lost in that illusion, feel that we've understood what it is. But it's only when the bucket breaks and the water is set free and the reflection is everywhere that you realize, as again the Zen story goes, there's no more pail of water, no moon in the pail. And similarly, when we are in meditation, there is no more us doing the meditation, but we are meditation. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that this conversation serves as an invitation for you to come here to Glendalough, to our beautiful centre, the Garden of Sacred Tears in Lara in Glendalough. So perhaps we can do a meditation session together. Or if you'd like to join us for an upcoming beautiful special workshop, I suppose it's one of my most special, unique workshop that I've poured my heart and soul in. That's happening at the end of this month and in the first week of October. It's called Zen Stories, Meditation and a Cup of Tea. It'd be lovely if you can join us. It's a workshop in cultivating self-care and embracing self-compassion through Zen stories, through meditation, and of course having a cup of tea together. So I hope to see you there. Thank you once again for your listening. Take good care of yourself. Goodbye for now. This is Aman, yours truly.